that you're working on, sorted by activity, and also sorted by your favorite projects. So the idea is that you can see what's going on right now. So let's say you're a project manager, you got several projects in your agency, you can actually see live what's going on. If you're a developer working on projects, you can always, you got your latest projects immediately available. And if you want to go to a project, of course, you just click. If you have a lot of projects like me, you can of course also search and find the projects really fast as well. Then if you want to create a new project, you just click this button and you give your project a name. You can give it a color so you can sort of recognize it from the other ones. You can also select what we call a baseline. And a baseline is actually a pretty cool feature. I don't know if we're going to have time to demo it, but that's what we'll see. But it's the idea that you can base a new project on an existing project. And even though you do that, and even though it's completely separate projects, then there will be a connection between them. So let's say that, for instance, you're an agency and a good number of your sites are quite similar. So let's say 50% of the sites you do have the same fundamental structure, the same base modules, etc. Then rather than doing it manually or having some random packages you install, you can have sort of an agency baseline that's always kept up to date. Then whenever either you're creating a new project or someone from your organization are going to demo Umbraco, you don't have to ask any developer. They can just have their agency demo, for instance, choose it here, and then the new project will immediately have all the functionality and content from your demo site. And that's kind of cool, but what's really cool then is, let's say you have 10 sites built on this baseline. You realize there's a cross-scripting issue in your baseline. Then you can fix it in your baseline, and you can press a button, and that fix gets merged into all the new projects automatically, even though those projects have mutated quite a bit. And we got some clients using this functionality that I'm going to explain a little later. But for now, I'm just going to just do a simple demo. And then when I click the button, it takes about 30 seconds, and then my project is ready. I'll have minimum 2 environments set up, and these environments are completely separate environments. So they have their own database, their own file system, their own version control that's also set up for you. And then we make a connection in between to make it easy to deploy things. And then, of course, the latest version of Umbraco is installed automatically as well. And then some of you might ask, but can I choose a specific Umbraco version? No, you can't. Because we really want to get rid of the, again, vision-wise, we want to get rid of the idea of versions. Versions is sort of, in many ways, has 2 purposes. One, that you have an idea, does this add-on work or not? And 2, it served the purpose of shipping stuff on a CD-ROM or disk drives back then. In a connected world, it makes no sense to have versions, really. So we dream somewhere, someday, that you don't need a version of Umbraco. And in many ways, we'll just have quarterly drops of a version. And then this one will pretty much run out of very frequent, stable builds. Anyway, as you can see, we have our 2 separate environments. We can see the website, we can go to the back office, and then we have this weird thing called get clone URL, which means that if I'm a developer, I can get a Git URL and I can work with the site offline or locally on my own machine. Again, having the same connection between the projects. But as with TV chefs, I've cheated a little bit and prepared a site so you don't have to see me slowly adding document types, etc. So I've installed a package called Local Gov Starter Kit made by a community member to sort of demo that we have a site running already. We're going to make some changes to the site, and then we're going to push those changes live. So let me do that. And let me just show you that the live side here looks the exact same, but the diff side, if you were fast, were prefixed with diff dash something. So let me go to the back office of this site, and then I'm going to modify a document type, add a media picker, something like that, and deploy that change. And as you can see, this is version 7.4.1. And whenever we release a new version of Umbraco, the version that's available on Umbraco as a service is immediately the latest version. Anyway, let's look at a cool feature here, because I want to modify this this document type. Remember how you used to have to navigate through your document types to edit it? Hopefully we can just do like this. It has nothing to do with Umbraco as a service, it's just a cool feature that I really love. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another tab here, just call it Gallery, add a property, call it Media Picker. No, call it Choose Photos. Else duck will kill me. And choose a media picker here, like this, and yeah, I think that's fine. I'm just going to re-order, put the gallery on top. Oh, so many tabs. Like this, and save it. And let's just add some photos then. If I have some mildly appropriate photos. This. You want to pick one?
Yes,
this
that's
one.
awesome.
This one is beautiful. I have the entire collection. I'm happy to share it. There's more than 50 photos, and they really make you want to live in the past. Anyway, now I made this change. It looks good. I like it. I think it should go live. So if we actually look at our project page here, we can see that Umbraco as a service has picked up the changes we made and made sure that we can deploy it if we like. And just to show you that I'm not cheating, I'll go to the back office of the live side and take a look at this one, and we can see there's no gallery tab here. So why don't we then deploy these changes? All I need to do to deploy them is click this button and say join live with awesome gallery. And then Umbraco as a service will do its thing down here where it packs the changes, then transfer them to the live environment, compare the changes, making sure that they can be merged. Then it merges the changes and warms up the site again, so it's ready to and ready and live. And this doesn't matter whether this was a change to a document type, some changes to a template as well, some JavaScript files, some assemblies, etc. You can transfer all that in one chunk, and it takes again 30 seconds, and it's all good.
While it's being deployed, is the site down or is it always up?
No. It's if you have assemblies, so DLL files, it will be down the second where it copies the files in and the site warms up. One of the things we really want to do is deploy to a shadow site, then warm that shadow site up, and then flip the switch. There is some challenges in that around keeping users who are logged into your site, for instance, making sure that they don't lose their session. So it's not as easy as it sounds. But that's, again, not a feature right now, and it's one of the things we really want to do. Yep.
Do you have to deploy all the changes that you made on dev, or can you select like a certain change set?
When you go through the interface right now, you have to deploy everything, but we do have a cherry picking feature. So you can you can also create a branch in Git, have your changes there, and then deploy that branch. But there's no UI for it right now. We're working on that as well.
You said that it checks to see if the merges or the changes can be merged. What happens if they can't?
Then it will say can't, and it will explain why. But we have a pretty good merging strategy. So one thing I didn't mention with Umbraco as a service, many people think we hyped it forever, which we also have. But we've been in a closed beta with real projects for more than 1.5 years. So we've learned a lot. And we really have to be very thankful for the early adopters. They're still around, which is amazing. But we learned a lot in how they did projects. And actually a consequence of that is that if you see here, my gallery tab is there, my media picker is there, but you would say, what about that awesome photo? It's not there. And that's because we separate content deployments from sort of development deployments. We didn't do that originally because we thought it was so cool that we clicked the button and ta-da, the entire thing was there. Then people started using it and they asked, why are my lorem ipsum content on my lab side? We didn't really want that. So now what you do instead is that you can select what kind of things do you want to transfer. And you can either say, oh, I want to transfer, queue this page for transferring, or you can just do it right away, saying, I want to deploy this page as well. Click the button. Then it will find all dependencies, including links, things from the media library, etc. Then again, you click a button, and then it will transfer the changes to the live site. Yep.
What if a content admin publishes something and they go, oh no, I didn't want to publish that. How would you roll that back?
Then you will just use traditional Umbraco back office. Then you can log into the back office and you can roll that content back.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, you can roll back on your dev side, there's versions and contents, you can roll back your dev version.
I wasn't sure if there was a special step between the two, the production and the
One of the things we've that's been very important to us is that when it comes to vanilla Umbraco, that you can work in the way you want or used to. So again, if you want to roll something back in terms of content, then you just use traditional rollback inside of Umbraco.
Okay, and that will push up the production.
No, then you have to. You can do it live, on live. Then you can roll that back on live. Else, as Per mentioned, you could do the rollback on dev and then deploy that change.
Okay.
There was one question back there first.
When you did the deployment, you mentioned the doc type. Was that just the dependency or was it actually deploying the doc type again?
No, it's this interface only transfers content and media.
So it's just a pure dependency.
Yeah. But what it will do though is it will make a check to see is it possible. So for instance, if there were changes, if the doc types used are different between the environments, it will say this is not possible. And then we'll say if it's an editor, it will give a very friendly explanation on why. If it's a developer, it will give you details on what's needed.
So scheduled deployments of either?
No, that doesn't work.
See.
Oh, somebody has. Wonderful.
So is content deployed node by node, or can you deploy the whole content?
You can deploy the whole content, and you can actually cherry pick. So, for instance, one thing we can do here is we can say deploy, and then we can say include all pages. And when I do that on the root node, then everything will be deployed. It's still pretty fast, though. If we click here and see now, it will analyze all the content on my site, find all dependencies still. It's still pretty fast. And again, here it knows, it compares to the live site and says, hey, there's no need because you already did that. But you can also, which is kind of cool, and a classic scenario is that you build a new feature. So let's say I've added, so when you build features in Umbraco, there's usually some development changes, there's some type changes, but one of the annoying things is that there's also often a couple of content items, right, to sort of activate the feature on the site. So let's say that I had a change on this page, so I just say queue this one for transfer. Not all subpages, just this one. And Then, for instance, I have a privacy policy that I also changed. So, of course, you can also